All right, 49ers fans, gather around because we have a ton to unpack here. The offseason moves and the latest developments around San Francisco are starting to paint a picture of a team with big ambitions for 2025, and there's a lot of chatter about what this roster is going to look like when the regular season rolls around. One of the first things that stands out is how the Niners are handling their wide receiver room. Earlier today, San Francisco officially signed Malik Turner, a name that's been floating around in the organization for a while. This isn't Turner's first time with the team. He's already had a couple of stints with the Niners, including time on the practice squad last year. And what makes this signing interesting is that it shows a very specific strategy from the front office. Turner, for those who might not remember, is a big-bodied receiver at 6'2", 202 pounds. He's not going to blow by anyone with sheer speed, but he makes up for it with a long, fluid stride and a knack for contested catches. He's the kind of player who can step in, contribute immediately on special teams, and make plays when the opportunity arises. He came into the league as an undrafted free agent out of Illinois back in 2018, and while he didn't put up eye-popping college numbers, he has proven time and again that he can grind and find a way to make an impact. This signing also comes in the context of the Niners juggling injuries and roster decisions. Jordan Watkins is expected to miss about a month with a high ankle sprain, and the team has had to look for depth at the wide receiver position. Turner's familiarity with Kyle Shanahan's offense makes him an easy fit, and there's a chance he could see the field in joint practices against the Raiders and possibly even dress for the second preseason game against Las Vegas. His special teams ability could be another factor that makes him valuable in these early evaluations. The signing of Turner also coincides with a tough break for the team. Bradley Anae has been placed on injured reserve. Anae's situation is unfortunate because he had been showing a lot of promise, particularly in the preseason opener against Denver, where he led the team in pressures. He's not the fastest or most twitchy player on the edge, but he has a very solid understanding of pass rush techniques and can be extremely productive when utilized correctly. Back in the spring, while playing in the UFL, Anae was one of the most effective edge rushers in the league, and there were high hopes he could carve out a spot on the active roster as a backup edge. But injuries are part of football, and this is another reminder of how volatile an NFL roster can be. Losing Anae is a setback, but Turner's addition softens the blow by giving the offense and special teams a boost while the team navigates these challenges. Moving beyond roster adjustments, let's shift to the mindset and leadership of the team, especially with players like Diameter Leonard taking the reins on defense. Leonard has made it clear that he's not just here to be a solid player. He wants to be recognized as one of the best in the league. On the Richard Sherman podcast, he spoke about his goals and the mentality he brings to the field. What stands out is his consistent excellence in coverage. Over the last 3 years, he's given up just 1 touchdown in coverage, which is an astonishing figure in today's NFL. He's versatile, able to play both inside and outside, and he's willing to take on any challenge his team needs him to. His mindset is simple yet powerful. Work hard, stay disciplined, and let performance speak louder than words. Leonard embodies the kind of player that can anchor a defense and set a tone for younger players. His approach has earned him the franchise cornerback label and a significant investment from the Niners, roughly $18 million per year, which reflects not just his past performance, but his potential to continue being a cornerstone of the team's defensive identity. One of the most fascinating things about San Francisco's strategy right now is how they manage the balance between veteran experience and emerging talent. Malik Turner is a perfect example of this, as he has familiarity with the system and can step into the rotation quickly, but he's not a marquee signing that demands a permanent roster spot over other players who are currently contributing. Meanwhile, Leonard represents the long-term investment, the player who defines the identity of the defense and provides stability across seasons. This balance is delicate, especially when injuries pile up and decisions have to be made about who stays and who goes. For example, the safety position is shaping up to be crowded. Malik Mustaf is expected to return from an ACL recovery. Jason Pinnock adds depth with his athleticism, and Richie Grant brings a cost-effective veteran presence. Rookie Marquise Siegel has started to see first-team reps and could realistically start this season. which raises questions about where players like Jared Brown fit into the rotation. Brown struggled at times last season under Nick Sorensen's coaching. And while he has potential, the team may need to make tough decisions to maximize the overall talent on the roster. There's even speculation that Brown could find a fit with other teams, like the New York Jets, given his history with Steve Wilkes. Looking at the big picture, what emerges is a team that is meticulous in how it handles roster construction, player development, and long-term planning. Injuries are inevitable, but San Francisco has shown a keen eye for identifying talent that can step in and make a difference, whether that's a wide receiver like Turner, a returning veteran, or a rising star in the draft. The coaching staff, led by Kyle Shanahan, is crafting a roster that prioritizes flexibility, depth, and the ability to respond to unexpected challenges without losing competitive edge. At the same time, leadership from players like Leonard ensures that the culture remains strong, competitive, disciplined, and focused on excellence week in and week out. This dual focus on immediate contribution and long-term growth is part of what makes watching the 49ers fascinating, especially as we move closer to the 2025 season. Even when you look at individual performances in preseason practice, you can see how every player is being evaluated not just for what they can do today, but for how they fit into Shanahan's vision over time. An eye's injury is a setback, but it highlights how much thought goes into roster decisions. Turner comes in with experience, familiarity, and special teams potential, which makes him a strategic addition. Leonard continues to push himself and those around him to elevate their game. The safety group shows promise, but also presents questions that management will have to answer as they finalize the 53-man roster. The interplay between emerging talent, strategic signings, and established stars is what makes this team intriguing to follow. As we move deeper into evaluating the 49ers roster and organizational strategy for the upcoming season, it becomes clear that the complexity of building a championship-caliber team goes far beyond the marquee names and high-profile signings. One of the most fascinating aspects of San Francisco's approach this year is how they are managing their defensive backfield, particularly the safety position, which is beginning to look like both a challenge and an opportunity. The team has a mix of veteran talent, players returning from injuries, and rookies showing flashes of potential, and balancing all of these moving pieces is no small feat. For example, Malik Mustaf, who has been rehabbing from an ACL tear, is expected to return to full health and contribute immediately. His presence is a critical piece for the secondary because he offers both range and physicality, something that allows the defensive coordinators to be creative with coverages and blitz packages. Mustaf's experience navigating complex defensive schemes, coupled with his natural athleticism, makes him a valuable asset in an environment where the margin for error is incredibly small. Then there's Jason Pinnock, another intriguing figure in the safety group. Pinnock brings a unique combination of instincts and aggression that allows him to make plays both in the passing game and in run support. He's not just a fill-in. He's the kind of player who can impact the game in multiple ways. What's interesting about Pinnock is how he has been able to adapt to different roles, demonstrating versatility that coaches love. He can line up deep in coverage or closer to the line of scrimmage, depending on the defensive alignment and the offensive threats he faces. This type of flexibility is crucial for a team like the 49ers, who often rely on disguise and variation to keep offenses guessing. Pinnock's growth over the past year has been noticeable, and his chemistry with Leonard and other secondary teammates will be a key factor in how well the backfield performs collectively. Meanwhile, younger players like Marquise Siegel are starting to emerge as legitimate contributors, and that presents both opportunity and pressure. Siegel has impressed in joint practices and preseason action, showing a mix of physical tools and football IQ that could allow him to step into a starting role sooner rather than later. His instincts in zone coverage, ability to read quarterback tendencies, and willingness to tackle in open space all point to a player who could become a cornerstone of the team's secondary for years to come. However, this also creates a roster dilemma. With players like Jared Brown on the roster, who has struggled under previous coaching but still has raw talent, the coaching staff faces tough decisions about how to allocate snaps and opportunities. Brown may end up being a rotational player or could be evaluated for a trade, depending on how he fits into Shanahan's evolving vision for the secondary. These decisions are never easy because every roster spot is precious, and the 49ers have historically been a team that demands immediate contribution from every player. The broader picture here is the importance of depth and preparation. The NFL is an unforgiving league, and injuries are a constant factor that teams must plan for. The 49ers front office seems acutely aware of this, which is why signings like Malik Turner's are not just about adding talent. They're about strategic redundancy. Turner provides immediate depth at wide receiver, someone who can step in if a starter goes down, but also contributes on special teams, which is often overlooked but can swing close games. Similarly, having a mix of veteran and younger safeties ensures that San Francisco has multiple options for different game scenarios, whether it's a heavy passing situation, goal line defense, or specialized coverage packages. The balance between proven veterans, high-upside younger players, and situational contributors like Turner reflects an organizational philosophy that values flexibility and resilience as much as raw talent. Another layer to consider is how these individual pieces fit into Kyle Shanahan's overall vision for the team. Shanahan has always been known for his offensive creativity, but his philosophy extends beyond play calling. It's about building a roster where each piece has a defined role and the ability to execute at a high level within that role. Players like Leonard and Mustafa are anchors. They define the standard of excellence and bring consistency week after week. Players like Siegel and Pinnock are the rising contributors who need guidance and opportunity to reach their potential. And then you have the strategic signings and practice squad veterans who fill gaps and maintain depth. This holistic approach ensures that even when injuries occur or matchups are particularly challenging, the team does not collapse under pressure. Every player has a job, and the sum of those jobs is what creates a cohesive, competitive unit. The attention to detail extends beyond the field as well. Training, film study, and understanding opponent tendencies are all areas where the 49ers seem to place heavy emphasis. Veterans mentor younger players, while coaches stress situational awareness and execution. This culture of preparation allows players to step into roles like Turner's and contribute without a steep learning curve, and it ensures that rookies like Siegel can accelerate their development by observing and learning from seasoned teammates. The cumulative effect is a team that can weather the inevitable ups and downs of an NFL season without losing focus or momentum. Offense, of course, remains a central story, and the additions and adjustments, they're just as strategic. While wide receivers often get attention for flashy plays, the Niners are thinking in terms of rotations, matchups, and versatility. Turner's signing is part of a broader strategy to maintain continuity while also providing options. Depth is particularly important in the early weeks of the season when players are shaking off rust and injuries from training camp and preseason may temporarily sideline key contributors. The ability to seamlessly plug in a player who understands the system allows Shanahan to maintain offensive rhythm and maximize efficiency in both passing and rushing attacks. The interplay between roster construction, game planning, and long-term vision cannot be overstated. San Francisco's front office is clearly focused on building a team that is competitive now, but also sustainable in the future. This means evaluating not just who can perform today, but who fits the culture, who can adapt to different roles, and who has the potential to grow into a high-impact player. Injuries, trades, and performance fluctuations are all accounted for, which is why the team seems to have contingency plans for nearly every scenario. The result is a roster that can adapt without sacrificing identity, allowing the Niners to remain competitive even when faced with adversity. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling around the San Francisco 49ers as recent reports suggest that head coach Kyle Shanahan may have taken an unprecedented step in his handling of the team's defensive roster. Sources close to the organization indicate that AMBRY, a cornerback who has shown flashes of potential but struggled with consistency, could have been expelled from team activities following what is being described as a controversial incident. While specifics of the alleged action remain unconfirmed, insiders hint at tension during recent practice sessions that may have triggered Shanahan's rumored decision. The move, if verified, would mark a significant escalation in Shanahan's management style, raising questions about how discipline is enforced within one of the league's most high-profile teams. Analysts are now speculating on the broader implications for the 49ers' defensive strategy, especially given Thomas's role in key matchups over the past seasons. Fans and pundits alike are dissecting Shanahan's track record for handling player disputes, noting that while he is known for fostering talent, there may be limits to his tolerance for perceived insubordination or lapses in judgment on or off the field. The potential expulsion has already sparked conversations across social media, with speculation about whether this is a permanent decision or a temporary measure pending further review from team management. Observers suggest that Shanahan's decisive approach could either galvanize the locker room or create lingering tension among teammates. Industry insiders hint that Ambry Thomas's future with the 49ers may now hinge on more than just performance metrics, as the controversy surrounding his alleged expulsion raises questions about interpersonal dynamics within the squad. Speculation has intensified after unnamed sources described the incident as involving a confrontation or disagreement that escalated beyond the typical boundaries of professional conduct. While no official statement has yet been released by the 49ers organization, experts suggest that Shanahan's approach often balances accountability with opportunity, meaning Thomas could face either a permanent severance or a probationary return, depending on the internal investigation. The timing of the incident, coinciding with the team's preparations for critical upcoming games, adds further complexity to the situation, as coaching staff must weigh immediate roster needs against long-term cultural considerations. Analysts are also debating the impact on team morale, with some arguing that Shanahan's rumored firm stance may serve as a warning to other players about acceptable behavior, while others fear it could foster uncertainty in the locker room. Fans are particularly attuned to how such decisions might affect public perception of the 49ers' internal cohesion, and social media chatter reflects a mixture of support for Shanahan's discipline and concern for Thomas's career trajectory. Some commentators are suggesting that rival teams could potentially exploit this disruption, viewing it as an opportunity to capitalize on perceived instability within a playoff contending squad. Meanwhile, insiders continue to monitor whether this scenario will lead to further personnel adjustments or spark dialogue about broader leadership strategies within the organization. Further speculation surrounds the nature of the alleged incident that led to Shanahan's rumored decision to remove Ambry Thomas from team activities, with reports varying from verbal altercations to potential breaches of team policy. Observers note that Shanahan has historically maintained a delicate balance between fostering young talent and enforcing strict accountability, making this situation particularly intriguing for league analysts. The potential expulsion has prompted questions regarding the immediate tactical consequences for the 49ers, as Thomas's absence could require adjustments in defensive coverage schemes and player rotations. Rumors indicate that coaching staff are conducting a thorough assessment of both performance data and behavioral patterns, potentially signaling that the decision is the result of cumulative factors rather than a singular event. Media outlets are closely monitoring any statements from team representatives or player agents, seeking clarity on whether Thomas's removal is temporary, indefinite, or possibly leading toward a trade or release. The timing of these rumors is particularly noteworthy given the high stakes of the NFL season, where every roster decision carries significant implications for playoff ambitions. Speculation has also emerged around how this development might affect Thomas's reputation within the league, with insiders suggesting that other teams will weigh both his athletic capabilities and his perceived off-field reliability before making any contractual overtures. Meanwhile, fan forums and sports networks have erupted with commentary, ranging from criticism of Shanahan's allegedly harsh approach to conjecture about Thomas's future contributions and potential redemption opportunities. The narrative is rapidly evolving, and each new tidbit of information seems to amplify interest in what could become one of the season's most talked-about controversies within the 49ers organization. Amid the swirling rumors, some analysts are proposing that Shanahan's rumored decision regarding Ambry Thomas could be part of a broader strategy to instill a stricter disciplinary culture within the San Francisco 49ers. This approach, if confirmed, may reflect a calculated effort to send a message to the entire roster about accountability, commitment, and adherence to team norms, especially as the squad contends with mounting pressure in high-profile matchups. Observers speculate that Thomas's potential removal from team activities could also prompt an internal reassessment of defensive depth charts, with coaches evaluating alternate options and backup players who may step into more prominent roles. Insider chatter further suggests that Shanahan's rumored firm stance may have ripple effects beyond the 49ers' locker room, potentially influencing free agent negotiations, player retention, and team branding. Meanwhile, fan speculation continues to dominate online discourse, with supporters debating whether Shanahan is making a necessary, albeit controversial, decision or whether it risks undermining team cohesion during a critical phase of the season. Some reports hint that Thomas could be offered avenues for reconciliation, contingent on demonstrating accountability and improved conduct, while others maintain that this might be the first step toward an irreversible separation. Analysts are closely watching how the organization frames the situation publicly, noting that the optics of transparency and fairness could impact not only fan perception, but also the morale of remaining players. The narrative surrounding Thomas and Shanahan continues to generate intense scrutiny, as each development fuels further debate over leadership style, team culture, and the balance between discipline and talent retention in professional football. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.